I adapted a book in my years as a filmmaker, producer, and financier. I adapted Peter Schweitzer's book, Reagan's War, about the opening of the files of the KGB and looking back over President Reagan. And it was called, the film we retitled as In the Face of Evil. It was shortly thereafter the release I met Dr. Michael Savage for the first time. That's 20 years ago. And he was, at that time, I think, one of the two or three towering intellects that were saving the countries. Borders, language, culture. Dr. Savage, when did you come up with that phrase? When did that, because you, and what I loved about you, it was like a howitzer. Boom. Every show, boom. Every segment, you went back to it, just were relentless, but it was the foundational intellectual element of the nationalist side of the Trump movement. What do you mean by borders, language, culture?
Thanks, Steve. By the way, thank you for having me on the show. I haven't seen you in years. You look great, and you do a great show, incidentally. Just loved seeing Peter on. It was amazing to watch this. So 1994, I began in radio. A few months later, I created a new movement called, oh my goodness, why do people call me? I created a new movement. I have to shut my phone. I'm sorry, Steve. I created a new movement at the time that predated the MAGA movement. It predated the Tea Party. It was called the Paul Revere Society. We used to get groups together, 2,000 people, screaming patriots. They never heard anything like this in liberal Marin County, in liberal San Francisco, in Oakland. And I had to define what the Paul Revere Society stood for, which was, I said, borders, language, culture. It was right in the original cards of the PRS. And I said, a nation is defined by its borders, language, and culture. Now, there's not a nation on earth, whether it be an island nation in the Caribbean, you name it, Trinidad, or the United States of America, that is not or should not be defined by its borders, language, and culture, which is exactly why the internationalists have gone after our borders and every border on the planet. George Soros, open border society. Are you kidding me? So he went after the borders. He turns us into a polyglot nation, a Tower of Babel, so people don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they can't communicate with each other, and then the elites can manipulate them. And culture. Well, what is our culture? What is our culture? Well, it certainly isn't, let us say, teaching children how to do a trans dance in the first grade. That wouldn't be our culture. Culture would be the founding principles of our nation, which would be the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, if you want to just simplify it. And that message resonated with people, Stephen, because everybody can relate to BLC, borders, language, culture. And in Europe, look at Europe. Look what's going on in Europe because of the elites, how they've destroyed every European nation with people from Africa, people from the Middle East who are raping their way across the continent, living on welfare. It's shocking to see the people being so suppressed with almost no reaction. You were talking before about the people reacting, I think, to Peter. And Peter said he uses the pen. He's right. The pen is mightier than the sword until you're thrown into a prison cell and denied basic human rights. Then the pen is worthless. That's the problem, Steve. And I don't know how far we're going to go. Here's what worries me the most. I mean, I'm just, rapping with you right now. Trump can only be in office for a maximum couple of years, right? Then his administration's over, correct? Steve, am I with you? I don't even know.
We are working. We are working on alternatives. We're working on alternatives right now because I say, hey, unless you got Trump, I don't know how you pull this off.
And they're liable to win with. They're liable to win with a communist. The way things are going in this country. Look at what's going on in New York City. How could a
Newsom AOC ticket, which shows you everything you need to know, right?
That would be the least of our problems. By the way, Newsom would be the least of our problems, not the worst of our problems. Mamdani would be the worst of our problems if the 9/11 types took over America. Think about New York City, a city that was bombed on 9/11 by these airplanes, now is electing a man who's overtly and clearly and clinically a front for the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, there's no other way to analyze this guy. These people are so stoned on this heavyweight marijuana. They don't even know what they're doing in that city. And they're saying, you know what, anyone but a big white guy like Trump, F him, screw him. We don't want the rich guys. We don't care who takes over. We just don't care. Just anybody but him. That's what's going on in the country. That's the lazy zeitgeist of what's the undertone in this country. And there's only one Trump, and there's no one to replace him that I can see.
Dr. Savage, I want to go back to, by the way, I agree with you 100%. I want to go back to accountability. Look, the 60s, it started coming unwound with the assassination of JFK and the cover-up, where Americans really, from that post-war generation, really started to in the greatest generation started to lose their confidence in American institutions. Doesn't that make your video, the reason it went mega viral, is that people are saying, they go, Michael Savage, what Dr. Savage is saying is correct. We need to get to the bottom of this. We need accountability. We need to know exactly what happened here, because nothing makes sense. The videos don't make sense. The text messages are an insult to people's intelligence, just an insult, a brazen insult. He's writing, they got the guy from ABC News, David Muir's, reporter, that's crying because, he says, wow, it's so touching and so lovely what he said to his partner. God. He wrote a Shakespeare sonnet in the middle of this. This is ridiculous. So talk to us about how we bind together to make sure there's accountability here and we get to the bottom of, I believe, a vast conspiracy to assassinate and execute Charlie Kirk.
I can't answer the question. How do I know? As I tried to say to you earlier, I work in my own vacuum. I'm just a man looking in from the outside. I feel like I'm in Brobdingnag. Okay, you know the reference, of course. I'm looking in from the outside. I don't have any inside information. I don't talk to anyone in the government. I don't have any contacts in the government. I use plain native intelligence, deductive reasoning, and watch the world go around, and none of it adds up that this kid did it on his own. From the shot, everyone, it's an easy shot from 250 yards. Really? It's that easy? At that angle? Who says that's an easy shot, even with a telescope? Is it? Then what's up with the hand signals? What was that with the hat and the hands? Did that ever get resolved, Steve? Who are those guys? Remember the hand signals? What was that, those two guys? Who are they?
Nothing.
Remember that? Those came up?
Nothing.
No one knows who they were.
Yes. And the way I keep telling people, the way to put that down is to flood the zone with real information. The governor went up there. Remember the first time the governor talked, he talked about the guy changing clothes on the roof. I still ask the question, and I've watched this thing now 100 times. I don't see a gun being dropped off the roof. Now people are saying, oh, no. And they said the other day, the DA, that he dropped a gun off the roof. I mean, Dr. Savage has watched it a number of times. You haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. It strains credulity what we're being asked to accept. And the cover-up of Kennedy is one of the reasons that you've had this loss of faith in our institutions, sir. Well,
the Kirk killer Robinson and his text messages to his paramour seems like not like Gen Z texting, by the way. It seems like it was written as a screenplay from someone in Hollywood. Immature guys in their 20s don't talk that way on texts. The confessing guy, Robinson, he's calm, articulate. He's not sloppy, not frantic. And there's something unusual about the text messaging between him and his boyfriend. They feel stiff, literary, like dialogue from a what's that? I won't say HBO, Netflix crime drama. So you've got that. I mean, I think we the people have a right to ask the questions, don't we, of the authorities, Steve? You're close to. Can I ask you something, Steve? Are you still close to the president? Do you still advise? I think we would say that. I don't want to give up the conversations, but I think with you can see by the stuff we do on the show and where it goes that we make sure that our voice is heard. Let's say that. And I agree with you. It's not easy. you have to make sure that that your voice is heard. But I think on here, like for instance, we just talked about the Secretary of Treasury earlier and the big fights on that and H-1B visas. So, but you're correct. It's not easy, and you have to be very focused, and you have to know how to kind of push it. But I agree, and I think there's so many people like you that have been key advisors, and not even advisors, but setting the intellectual tone of the populist nationalist movement. We only got a couple minutes, real quickly.
Why are you still banned? I want your nation to hear this. Why are you still banned from entering England, of which we're cutting all these trade deals with? Why is Dr. Michael Savage banned from going to England?
This was a book written when I was banned in '09. It's been almost 20 years, 15, 20 years. I don't know how long. I am still banned from Britain for things I said and did not say. And the fact of the matter is, it was a grave injustice. It still is a grave injustice. I reached out to President Trump before the trip saying, please talk to Starmer about getting this man off the list. Never heard anything back from the individual that I texted, actually sent the whole file to. And I spent $400,000 at the time to get my name off the list. I was told you will never get your name off the list. You can't fight a government. I was told point blank, no one has ever successfully fought a government and won in a court of law. Well, we got emails back and forth from then Prime Minister Gordon Brown. And Gordon Brown said, we have to balance the list, meaning there's enough Muslim terrorists on the list who are not permitted to enter England. We got to balance the list. So let's find an American Jew to put the tail on the donkey. That was me. See how they balanced the list? And this came from within the United States of America. We traced it back. I can't name names because we're not sure. Inside the Democrat Party, they communicated with the then secretary of whoever, Jackie Smith, and they made me the same, equal to Russian skinheads who had killed people in the streets, Hamas terrorists who had beaten the brains out of children, Jewish children on buses. How did that happen that a talk show host, who if he said anything like that would have been thrown off the air before he finished the words, he would have been, I never said those things that they accused me of. You know what I said that got them crazy? I said, what's going to happen if England becomes an Islamic country and they get a nuclear bomb? Would you rather see 100 million of us killed or 100 million of them killed? So they twisted it. The Jake Tappers, the Wolf Blitzers, and people like that in the media jumped down my throat and said, Savage said kill 100 million Muslims. I never said that. I was using an analysis saying, wait a minute, Europe's becoming Islamist. This was 15 years ago. I saw what was happening. And I said, wait till they take over a country with nuclear weapons like France or England, and they get a nuclear weapon. I said, would you rather 100 million of them die or 100 million of us die? So they twisted that to me saying, kill 100 million Muslims. Who would say a thing like that? I didn't.
Dr. Savage, hang on one second. We're going to hold you through. I know you got to bounce through the commercial break. Make sure people have your coordinates of where you get your show, your content, all of it. Birchgold.com. Take your phone out and text to Bannon at 989898. The ultimate guide for investing in gold and precious metals in the age of Trump.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Dr. Savage, we're going to work to get you back on next week. You had a big story about artificial intelligence. You want to talk about it. Our audience is huge on that. Coordinates, where do they get your podcast, social media? Where do they get up to speed on everything Dr. Savage is talking about?
Talk to God. He'll answer the question. He knows more about it than I do. He knows where I've come from and where I'm going. But I'm on X at A Savage Nation. And my podcast, you just go to michaelsavage.com. It has 500 episodes of my podcasts. I left radio 4 years ago. I don't know how long ago. I only do podcasts and some appearances on TV and on your show once every 10 years. But basically, I like X. I'm addicted to it. It's too much of an addiction, by the way. Good. So I'm like an 8-year-old on the tweeting, and I got to stop because I'm starting to get a little nuts with it. You know, you can make mistakes on X. The problem with tweeting is, anyway, at A Savage Nation, the podcast is, I think it's the Savage Nation podcast. That's what it is. 500 episodes.
I'm going to talk to you after. I'll track you down this afternoon. I'm going to try to get you. We'd love to have you participate in our commemoration tomorrow, 10 hours from Glendale, from Cardinal Stadium. Dr. Michael Savage, the audience loves you, sir. Your towering intellect has been one of the great patriots in the late 20th and early 21st century, sir. Never forget that, Dr. Michael
Coming
Savage.
From you, it means a lot, Steve. Thanks for making my life meaningful.
Thanks, brother. No, you made not just your life meaningful, you helped save your country, sir. Remember Savage? What I love about Savage, he's going to give it to you with both barrels, man. There is no sugarcoating. He's going to give it right to you.